Hey, good morning everybody. This is James Pankovic. Becca's behind the camera. Welcome to our long overdue tour of the Okinawa Karate Kaikan. We're here at the Karate Kaikan, which is in Tomigusku, also called Tomishiro, in Okinawa. Many of you have been here before and you know this place quite well. It's hard to believe that it's almost 5 years since this place was opened. Time has flown by. Actually at the moment, because we're in a state of emergency in Okinawa, the facility is not really open to the public, but we have arranged with the director of the Kaikan, Mr. Nakamura, to go inside, do a tour today, see what's new. They've been working on a lot of online things to supplement the limited amount they can do offline in the facility here, so that's going to be interesting. They've come up with some cool new online products that are being sold through the Kaikan website, but we're going to go and see what's happening inside the Kaikan now. I believe that there's a display in there celebrating the recent Olympic victories. Kyuna Senshu, who got gold recently at the Tokyo Olympics, so that's in there too. But come with me, let's walk up and go into the Kaikan. So the Kaikan comprises of 3 main buildings. The one we're looking at right here is the main building that has the training areas inside it, the reception, and the displays that we're going to see today. There's a second building just off to the left here. That's the one that's got the museum, has the shop when the shop's open, has a restaurant down there as well, serving the karate soba. And then there's a third building, and you can just see the top of the roof tiles there, and that's the traditional dojo. Really just used for demonstrations, and in fact on Karate Day coming up on October the 25th, as it always does, there's a very limited demonstration here, not open to the public, but some of the senior teachers will be demonstrating their kata there in the traditional dojo, as they've done before on other years. This is the main entrance. We can see the stone here. Okinawa Karate Kaikan. And these are the main steps. Let's go up. So how did the Kaikan come about? Well, a former governor, Governor Nakaima, had a lot of connections to the karate community. He had a lot of support from the karate community, and he kind of made a deal with the karate organizations here that if they helped him get re-elected as governor, he made a promise that he would fund a dedicated facility to become the home of Okinawan karate. That's how the Karate Kaikan came about, from a sort of a political and financial side. It really was a response to the realization that there was no official home for karate in Okinawa. Of course there are hundreds of dojos, but when people arrived in Okinawa, where did they go? There was no reception point, there was no information point for Okinawan karate. One of the reasons that I opened the dojo bar, as some of you guys will know, I ran the dojo bar for 9 years here, was that was what the dojo bar was about. It was a place where people could find information about karate and connect with the local community. Well, the Kaikan eventually, and thankfully, became that point. This is now the place where you can start your karate journey of discovery in Okinawa, because one of the other great facilities that's here is an office of people dedicated to providing guidance, connections, introductions to training here in Okinawa. Plus, of course, there is training that happens here, and there are events that happen here in the normal course of things. So the Karate Kaikan became, and is therefore, sort of the first landing place for karate visitors to Okinawa. Okay, let's take a little look over here. We're going to give you a view of the third building, the traditional dojo. Start to get a view of it through the trees over here. And I want to show you something else that's being built behind the Karate Kaikan, which I think is also going to be of interest to a lot of visitors coming here. But let's go and take a look at the back here. Here is the main building that's got all of the training facilities and areas in it.
We're going to come back to that, right?
Yep, this is going to be our first stopping point, and this is actually where we're going to meet Mr. Nakamura and find out a lot more about what's happening in the Karate Kaikan today. This is the second building. Maybe you can peek inside through the glass and see the entrance to the museum here. don't know if you guys can see through the reflections on the glass. Unfortunately, because of Corona, COVID, the museum is closed at the moment, but you can see some of the displays there. I like the way when they incorporated shady areas into the design of this building. So it was really smart thinking that they sort of built these areas that generate shade all around. It goes all around the perimeter of these buildings. It's such a relief to be able to get in out of the heat and come and literally just chill out here, have a rest, have a break. But let's go across to the older one. A more traditional one. This was all built at the same time, of course. Kan, which is the demonstration hall. Closer look at this. So if we take a peek inside here, and again hopefully you can see through, it is inside the traditional polished wooden floor, which you find in most dojos here. It's actually roughly about the size of an average dojo here as well, even maybe slightly bigger. You know, most dojos here are pretty small. If you've been here, you would probably experience that. And this was really built to give a space to do demonstrations. It opens completely at the front here and at the back, so you get the air going through. But the backdrop is Naha City. So let's go around and take a look at that. On Tomi Gusku. So Tomi and Gusku. Gusku means, usually people think about Gusku as like castles, but actually Gusku are high points. They're like high secure points. So not necessarily always with a castle building, but they're always a high point that can be secured and or provide security. And it was one of the most significant ones, because this point looks down over the estuary and the river, the entrances into Naha and into what were the trading points further along the river too. Today, of course, it's very heavily urbanized, but you can still see that from here we have a real good line of sight across Naha, across the approaches of Naha Port and the river, and the river that divides, this is Tomishiro, Tomi Gusku, from Naha, which is across the other side. Actually, this river was where dragon boat racing originated in Okinawa too. It was the prince of the Aji of Tomi Gusku who brought dragon boat racing from Taiwan, where he saw it, to Okinawa several centuries back before, well, obviously there was still a castle here, which hasn't been for a long time now. But yeah, the origin of dragon boat racing, and Hari is dragon boat racing in Okinawan, is right here. This was, for many, many years after the war, a park. My father-in-law, I'm married to an Okinawan girl, my father-in-law told me that they used to come here when he was younger and have sort of picnics. And there was an old train that used to go around and sort of take them on, you know, like a tiny little train the kids used to jump on, that would take them around the perimeter of the park. So after the bubble economy failed in Japan, let's say around the end of the 80s and 90s, into the 90s, I think the park fell into disuse. And then it wasn't until the Kaikan project came along about 5 years ago that it really began to be revived. There's another project going on right behind it though, and you can see it here. It's a big building, and they're progressing a long way. This is going to be the traditional arts center. So the idea, I believe, we can't get access yet, is that you'll be able to come and discover the traditional arts of Okinawa. That would be things like textiles, pottery, glassware, and wooden items too. What we're hoping is that there might be some overlap between what they make and they show here and kind of the karate and kobudo products, which people are often looking for when they come to Okinawa. So we're talking about things like wooden weapons or covers and cases made of bingata, the Okinawan print, for example, or other crossovers. And it's interesting, when we go and see Mr. Nakamura in a minute, he's going to talk about how they're developing some ideas to kind of cross over and overlap between the traditional art center and the world of karate or traditional karate and kobudo.
Will they do sanctions?
Quite possibly, yeah. Very likely there'll be sanctions here too. That's a major aspect.
It's more of
yeah.
a mainland thing, but it's
Yeah.
still Japanese.
Could be calligraphy. One of the aspects of that's specific to Okinawan calligraphy is using the brushes made from the pine fiber, or rather the fern. What do you call it? The tree ferns. They use tree ferns to make calligraphy brushes in Okinawa, as opposed to horsehair sometimes that comes from the mainland. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens in terms of the overlap. The great thing is, it's right next door. So if you come to the Karate Kaikan, this is opening I think in March 2022, but so by the time that most of you guys will be able to come back, there'll be an entirely brand new attraction to come and explore right next to the Karate Kaikan. Okay, we are going to move inside for episode 2. For those of you on live stream, we're going to take a break here